Hello, good evening. Welcome back to the Bundesliga show brought to you by Over the Bar. Myself and Mark are back for a brand new type of show. So I hope everyone is tucked in and ready for a very exciting and what could be a very interesting show. So for those of you that are new to the channel or new to this type of thing, myself and Mark are going to try and do a Bundesliga top 10. So it's a show that we're going to be doing once a month. And then obviously we'll have a category for each show. And this first show, we're going to be starting with strikers since the year 2000. So in a minute, you'll see on the screen already, we've got our list set of our top 10. What we're going to be doing is going to be kind of arguing our cases for how we think the order of the top 10 should go. So we'll kind of discuss from 10th up to sixth place, and then from fifth to first. And obviously, as you can see below, we've got some honourable mentions already. So before we go into it, just a little bit of admin. So obviously, again, we're in partnership with Bundesliga Boxes and Bully News, two brilliant partners for us this season. So make sure you go check them both out on Twitter and go check out their websites. Obviously, Bundesliga Boxes, get yourself some genuine, authentic German football t-shirts, and Bully News, the place to go for German football news in English, transfer rumours, long reads, predicted lineups, the lot. They've got you covered. And as always, please do drop us a like on the show if you like this new type of show. It'd be really interesting to get some feedback on that. That'd be really good. Comment along. Really want this to be interactive. So if you guys really want someone to be number 1 or number 10, do let us know and we'll take it into account. Obviously, comment afterwards if you haven't seen this one live. It'd be really interesting to see your thoughts. If you agree with us strongly, if you really disagree with our top 10 already picked, again, give a shout out to one of your strikers if he's a legend from the club that you're supporting. And again, please do subscribe to the channel because we're really going in the right direction and we want to build a great community as we already have been doing. So, Mark, are you looking forward to tonight's show? It would be a bit of a challenge, I think, this.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to the new style of show. Yeah, the top 10s. It's something we've talked about for quite a while now. I've been looking forward to kind of getting this into place. So yeah, it's going to be the first one. So looking forward to it. Obviously got a few more of these coming your way as well over the course of the season. So yeah, I think it's key that obviously we want you guys to interact with us as well and let us know if we've missed any names, you know, if you agree or disagree with us. So don't be afraid to send us a comment. And obviously, if you're watching on replay, then comment underneath the video as well. So, you know, we always want to know what you guys think as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's kickstart then. So, what we'll do is we'll just run through the top 10 list as we have it right now. It's not in any particular order. It's just so everyone knows the top 10 that we settled on. So, as you can see on the screen right now, we've got Claudio Pizarro, Giovanni El Bear, Marco Royce, Miroslav Klose. A little bit further down here, we've got Kevin Karangy, Graffite, Robert Lewandowski, Mario Gomez, Edin Dzeko, and Ailton. So we'll stop at 10 and kind of work our way up then, Mark. So we've kind of had a little bit of a discussion about this already, and we've got our own kind of ammunition ready for each other. So if we're talking about the kind of the players maybe that are just scraping in here, maybe ahead of the honourable mentions that we've got on screen, who do you want to start with then? Maybe the likes of a Dzeko or a Marco Royce is a little bit further up here as well. Royce is probably the only player on our list who hasn't won the Bundesliga. So if we're talking about greatness in terms of winning things, Royce is struggling in that point of view, isn't he?
Yeah, I think that's definitely something worth bearing in mind. But I mean, when you look at his longevity, you know, obviously a lot of people forget that he played for Borussia Mönchengladbach before he went to Borussia Dortmund as well. And he was also very prolific there. But yeah, that is definitely something that has to be held against Royce, the fact that he's never won the Bundesliga. And he is the only man on this list who's never won it. But yeah, I think given his longevity and like obviously the quality he's shown over the years, I think he probably deserves a couple of notches up from the very bottom. I think the name that probably strikes me the most is your man. I know you're a big fan of him, Rory, but it's that man Graffite. You know, obviously him and along with his former teammate Edin Dzeko, they had that famous year, didn't they, where they won the Bundesliga with obviously Werder Bremen, legendary strike force, wasn't it? Sorry, not Werder Bremen, Wolfsburg. Sorry, my mistake. That's Ailton who won the league with Werder Bremen. But like Graffiti got 28 goals that season. But my only question about Graffiti is that, like, did he do it for long enough? You know, like, was he a top striker in the Bundesliga for years, or was it more of a one-season wonder? What would you say, Rory? Are you saying he was like a Bundesliga legend, or was he a bit of a one-season wonder, really?
I mean, obviously, from my point of view, that I think he was a really kind of fresh player to bring to the league. I'm not sure how much was really expected of him. One of the great memories that I have of watching Graffiti in terms of kind of like looking back was that great goal that he scored against Bayern. I think when Wolfsburg destroyed them 5-1, obviously on course to winning the league title that year. Kind of like dancing through all the Bayern defenders, and I think he backheeled it, didn't he? I think to score past the keeper. So that kind of flair that he brought to Wolfsburg was amazing. Just someone to really enjoy watching in the Bundesliga. So I think, he might be one player that's struggling a little bit in terms of maybe full consistency. He was a part of that Wolfsburg team that were unbelievable with Dzeko. Outscored him in the league with 28 goals that season. I think Dzeko outscored him in all competitions that season, though, and scored. I think he scored more goals than Dzeko, though, over his time in Wolfsburg, or maybe that was league goals. But certainly he did it over a good couple of seasons, and he was awesome. And at the end of the day, he won a Bundesliga title amongst other achievements whilst he was at the club. So, he scored 59 goals in 107 league appearances, though. Scored and got the goal of the year in Germany in 2009 as the goal that I mentioned. He was in the kicker Bundesliga team of the season for 2008-9 as well. So a few things that he's got on his CV that are really impressive and are great, but I think we're probably talking 10th or 9th for him at the moment. So shall we slip him down to start with?
I think we've got to put him down. Just a quicker look at the stats as well. Yeah, I was just saying before, was he a one-season wonder? But I think the stats do point towards that. Like, he did get 11 goals in his first season for Wolfsburg, but then he had that unbelievable season, the title-winning season of 2008 or 9, when he got 28 goals in 25 games, which is just absolutely ridiculous numbers, isn't it? But then the season after that famous year, he did go back to his 11 goals, and in his last season for Wolfsburg in 2010-11, he did get only 9 goals. So they're not terrible numbers, but he did only average 10 goals a season, apart from that one and only season, which for me is still enough to get him in the top 10 since 2000, but not enough to get him higher than 10th, I think.
Okie doke. Right. So if we're talking then maybe his strike partner, he has got similar stats, Dzeko, hasn't he? Really,
very similar.
Very similar, to be honest. So I think we're matching him and Dzeko up quite closely. Probably followed not far off by Marco Royce. Obviously, Royce's stats for Dortmund and Gladbach are really good, and we've classed him as a striker forward for the purposes of this video. Maybe if we did Royce as a midfielder in another show, he might be further up that list.
Yeah,
but, I mean, there's a good chance that would be the case. But for now, go on.
I think for me with Royce, like, he started off his career more as like a classic centre forward, number 9, didn't he? But more and more as the years have gone by, he's kind of become like a kind of attacking midfielder for me. And I think if you look at his statistics as well, they kind of support that argument, because at Gladbach, he actually had his most prolific ever season in the Bundesliga in 2011-12, when he got 18 goals in 32 games for Gladbach. And then actually since then, he's only once hit double figures in the last 6 years, actually. And that was in 2018-19 when he got 17 league goals for Dortmund. So I think that does show, but you've got to remember his assists as well. I'm pretty sure if we looked at the assist statistics, it'd be way higher than pretty much all of these players. And also, his longevity has been much, much better than the likes of Dzeko, Graffiti, and whatever, and even Ailton, I guess you could say. But I think in terms of the fact that he's not won the Bundesliga, and the fact that his record goal haul was significantly lower than the other guys here, of 18, I think he would have to go in at 8th, really.
Yeah, I think we're happy with eighth. I think he has to be ahead of Dzeko because of longevity. As you mentioned, he has won 2 Pokals, Champions League runner-up with Dortmund, obviously famously when they played Bayern under Klopp, Bundesliga top assist provider 2013-14. And obviously he as a player, versatile, great agility, really good finisher, really, isn't he, as well?
Hmm.
I guess you just wondered perhaps would he be higher up this list if it weren't for injuries as well? Because
Yeah.
he's not been lucky in that regard, has he? Really. So right, I think amazingly we're pretty on course here because we're settled. We're locking in Graffiti
Yeah.
10, Jekko 9, Marco Royce 8. Yeah, are you on board with that,
Yeah,
Mark?
definitely. Yeah. I mean, as you say, Royce is definitely a different kind of player. But I think if you're talking purely as a striker, he couldn't be higher than eighth because his numbers just aren't quite high enough, really, in terms of goals scored for me.
Yeah, okie doke. So I think we need to decide then the rest of our 10th to 6th places. So let's get some names in there that might be in and around that place. I think we can shift good old Robert out the way for now.
Yeah.
So what names are kind of speaking to you for 6, 7? So strikers obviously that have had a really good record, but maybe not that kind of upper echelons of our top 5.
I think probably Close is the one that's really sticking out to me because you've got to remember that some of his goals were scored for Kaiserslautern as well. That's kind of where he made his name. A lot of people
Yeah.
don't know that, but he made his name at Kaiserslautern, and that was at the back end of the 90s. So if you look at the statistics, his first season was actually for Kaiserslautern in 99, 2000. But then, to be fair, most of his goals were scored in the 2000s.
Yeah.
He was another of them, wasn't he? For me, he was always a player that did better actually at international level for Germany than he did in the
Yeah.
Bundesliga. But then a quick look at his statistics, I mean, 16 goals in 31 in 2001, 2 for Kaiserslautern. His most prolific ever Bundesliga season was actually again for Werder Bremen. What a team they had in the mid 2000s, didn't they, Werder? But he got 25 in 26 around that time in 2005, 6. But then if you look at the rest of his seasons, he was always round about double figures, but he didn't have that many seasons where he kind of banged in a really big total. I think for me, the big problem with Klose is he was amazing at Werder Bremen, really good at Kaiserslautern, but when he got that big move to Bayern Munich, he didn't really do it for me. That's the problem.
Right.
And he did only get 24 goals in 4 seasons for Bayern, which
Yeah.
as a centre forward is not overly impressive for me. What do you think, Rory?
Yeah, but that's obviously the one thing that sticks out is that record whilst he was at Bayern. Obviously, he won the 2 titles though. So was it because he was in a great team,
Yeah,
or did he contribute? As a result, his contributions though, like as you mentioned, Kaiserslautern, obviously where he made his name, he scored 16 goals in 2001-2 season and helped Kaiserslautern to finish 7th. I mean that's pretty awesome in itself how he impacted on that team, and obviously awesome at Werder, scoring, as you mentioned, 25 goals, as Werder came second behind Bayern in 05-06. But yeah, I do agree that a lot of his good work or best work was like FIFA World Cups, isn't it? Where a
yeah,
lot of people know his name, like the Golden Shoe in
yeah.
2006, part of the FIFA World Cup All-Star team in 2002 and 6. But yeah, I mean, and not only was he a very good goal scorer, so he knew where to be in the right place at the right time, didn't he? I remember always kind of famous headers that he used to score, but he was a really good team player as well. I think, and I think he was really high on assists. So I
Yeah.
think he's the top assists provider in the Bundesliga for a couple of seasons as well. So showing that kind of all round game. But maybe in terms of the strikers that we have left, it's probably putting closer a little bit further down just on pure Bundesliga goal scoring. So do we want to just put closer as 7th for now? We can obviously
Yeah,
change him if we
I think
need
we can
to.
agree on that for now. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So remaining names that we've got to kind of play around with: Ailton, Gomez, Kuranyi, El Bear, Pizarro, Lewandowski. Let's leave Pizarro and Lewandowski for a little bit and bring El Bear into
yeah,
the conversation. So we kind of need to play around a little bit with Ailton. Ailton or Kuranyi for me are probably in and around that 5th and 6th spot. do you want to kind of run me through what you think? Should we just try and focus on
Yeah. I think
securing a
El
place?
Bear is a tough one because the thing is, you got to remember what a lot of people forget as well. Everyone knows him for his days at Bayern Munich, winning the Champions League, etc. But he actually made his name at Stuttgart, your boys,
Yeah,
Rory. And he banged in a lot of his Bundesliga goals in the 90s, actually. He actually joined the Bundesliga in 1994. And he scored well over 40 goals in 3 seasons for Stuttgart, which is pretty good going. And then obviously, didn't get off to the best start at Bayern, but then it was actually in the 2000s when he really kind of kicked off for Bayern Munich. He got 15 goals in 2000 and 2001, 17 in 2001-2. Then his most prolific Bundesliga season was actually his last, incredibly, which was in 2002-3 when he got 21 goals in 33 games, which is pretty impressive, isn't it? For me, I always liked Giovanni El Bear. He's one of the guys that I kind of remember from my childhood, really, I guess, in some ways. So I would like to see him a little bit higher. I think Ailton, we're looking at him, but what you've got to remember about Ailton, he only played 4 seasons in the Bundesliga, so that's got to be held against him, perhaps.
Yeah,
But
I think
5, my mistake, because he had one with Schalke as well. But those 5 seasons were all, the minimum he scored was 14 goals, and he went 14, 16, 16, 28 in that famous title-winning season for Werder Bremen in 2003-04. Then he had a very respectable season where he scored 14 in 29 for Schalke and actually 20 overall, including Europe as well. So this is a guy who was very, very good in the Bundesliga. He was very unorthodox as well. I remember the guy had a massive beer belly, and nobody could understand how this guy was banging in goals left, right, and centre. But he's definitely on the cult hero level as well, which always kind of adds to a player, doesn't it? I think Graffiti was pretty much the same kind of player as Graffiti. They looked similar. They were both Brazilians, and nobody could understand how they were so good because they weren't exactly the best physical specimen, let's say that much, But what would you say, Rory? Are you going for Ailton or maybe someone else in there?
At the moment, I'm quite satisfied with the way it's looking, just obviously by doing it by accident. So I think closer is edged by Ailton. But so Gomez obviously has 3 Bundesliga titles, 1 with Stuttgart, and 2 with Bayern, 2 Pokals, 2 Super Cups, and 1 Champions League title, all with Bayern. Obviously, scored 75 league goals for Bayern in 115 appearances. Obviously, had a spell at Wolfsburg as well, 17 and 45, and 85 goals for Stuttgart over 2 spells. And that aerial threat that Gomez was unbelievable, unbelievably hard to kind of stop. He could shoot with both feet. His anticipation, much like Closer, was really good in the box. So I think Gomez for me goes ahead of Ailton. So shall we lock those 3 down as 7, 6, and 5 for now?
Yeah, I think a closer look at Gomez, he really was a good player. I think with Gomez, he was like the opposite of Closer. For me, he failed a little bit. Not failed, maybe that's harsh, with Germany. He was never seen as like a top German striker, despite his record in the Bundesliga. Whereas obviously, the likes of Podolski, the likes of Closer were gods for Germany, really. And obviously they were really, really good. But if you look at his stats, for Stuttgart, if you look from 2007-08. He got 19 that year. The year after, he followed it up with a measly 24 in 32 games. Then in his first season at Bayern, he wasn't overly good. Obviously, a bit of transition. He only got 10 in 29, but then had his 2 best ever seasons in the Bundesliga, where he got 28 in 32 in 2010-11, and followed that up with 26 in 2011-12. And then, as you say, the thing with him, he had insane longevity as well. He had a very good, solid spell at Wolfsburg. By that point, he was already like mid-30s, and he got like 16 in 33 for Wolfsburg before joining his boyhood club, Stuttgart, and getting a very respectable 15 goals over a season and a half as well, when he was like 36, 37 by that point. So for me, he's got to be high up. He's got to be above Ailton. Just scroll up there, Rory, a little bit, and let's see.
Let's do it. Let's go up then. So at the moment, our top 4 consists of Kevin Karangy, El Bear, Lewandowski, and Pizarro. So let's look at El Bear let's look at Karangy a bit closer then, shall we, Mark? Because we need to decide whether he's worthy of top 4. So that could be into question, I reckon, because again, another kind of man who had a really good record or time with Stuttgart, was in the kicker Bundesliga team of the season a few times, won the UEFA Intertoto Cup with Schalke, finished top goal scorer for them for 4 years in a row, 3 years in a row, something like that, and helped them into the Champions League. But yeah, I mean, what do you reckon? Do you think Karangy needs to be a bit lower than that? I think, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. I think Gomez has got to be above him simply because of obviously the 3 titles, obviously the famous Stuttgart title as well. I think the thing with Karangy is, if you look, he never failed to get double figures for 8 seasons in a row between 2002 and 2009, which is pretty impressive numbers, And I think with Karangy, he also offered more than just goals too. He was very pacey, great. Got a few assists in there as well. And also, you got to remember, he never played for Bayern Munich as well, which is always something. But I mean, some people would say you can hold that against him because at the end of the day, Bayern really wanted Kevin Karangy. They probably would have got him, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So for me, Gomez has got to be above Karangy. I'd probably be looking at Karangy in 5th, in truth. I think the only thing you can hold against him is that he didn't win the most, and also his highest number was 18, but he did get around about 17, 16, 18, a lot of seasons in a row, which is obviously puts him above a few of the other names. But yeah, I'll be going for Karangy in 5th myself.
Okay, yeah, we'll not drop him any lower just yet. We'll keep him in 5th, then Gomez can go up a little bit. Tempted to put closer a bit higher up now, but we'll come back to that perhaps. Giovanni El Bear then, Mark. You happy with him being in around 3rd place? So like 4 Bundesliga titles, 3 Pokals, a Champions League, as you mentioned, in like the team of the season a good few times, part of Bayern Munich's all-time 11. Yeah,
he's got to be high up. I mean, the guy's a god, really. He really is. He's a buy. But I think for me, with him, it wasn't only his goals in the league; it was his European form as well. The guy was an absolute machine in the Champions League. Like, I remember my memories, in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and it was always his name on the score sheet. He was just like an absolute machine. And I think the only slight thing you can hold against El Bear is that he was also good in the 90s as well, and he wasn't only a 2000s player. So whether we're going to be too fussy on that, I don't know. But he's got to be in the top 4 minimum for me. He can't go any lower than any of those guys. But he's probably, I think there's good cause for him even to be 2nd. I would say that high, really. I mean, Pizarro was obviously a legend in his own right, but was he as good as El Bear, really? I don't know. What would you say, Rory?
Yeah, that is a really hard question, actually. I guess I remember Pizarro more so because Pizarro played for a really long time, didn't he? He had great longevity. I'm not entirely sure what age El Bear played to. That's one thing that strikes me first and foremost. El Bear's stats obviously are absolutely ridiculous. Pizarro, I mean, his numbers add up just as much though. 6 Bundesligas, 5 Pokals, Champions League, loads of Super Cups in the mix there. If you're looking purely at numbers, Pizarro is the 6th top goal scorer in Bundesliga history. Just shy of 200 goals in 490 appearances. So his ratio of goals was 0.4. So not far off a goal. Well, every other game. Top goals scorer in Werder's history in all competitions, 152 goals. Obviously, then did it for Bayern as well. The 2nd highest Bundesliga scorer for a foreign scorer, so not a non-German scorer, and the oldest player to play in Bundesliga history at 40 years, 227 days, and he's the oldest hat-trick goal scorer in the Bundesliga as well. So I've just talked myself into thinking Pizarro needs to go ahead of El Bear. Are you gonna argue that, Mark? Do you want El Bear higher?
It's a very tough one for me because there are a couple of things. While you did make a lot of good points, there are a couple of things that are held against him. He never went over 19 goals in a Bundesliga season, whereas El Bear got like 24, 25 as his record. So And also, he didn't have as much impact in Europe either as what El Bear did. I mean, this depends on how we're thinking about Bundesliga. Although I say that, but he did have a couple of really good years for Werder. Again, it seems to be Werder that they have a lot of players that did really well for Werder Bremen. I think they need some of those players nowadays as well, really. But it's I mean, he did have one really, really top season in Europe for Werder. But if you look at some of his seasons for Bayern, he wasn't exactly prolific in Europe. Whereas El Bear, obviously Champions League winner, as a starting player, all-time top, Bayern starting 11. I mean, these are huge things. For me, I'll probably say I would actually disagree. I go El Bear has to go above Pizarro for me.
Wow.
But even Gomez, for me, Gomez
Yeah.
has also got to go in the conversation, hasn't he? Because his record was just insane, and he did it for 2 clubs as well.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
the fact that he did it for Stuttgart and Bayern, he was getting well over 20 for like 5-6 seasons in a row. It's just ridiculous numbers, really.
Yeah, it's tricky, and now we're into the deep end.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll leave El Bear and Pizarro for debate for a moment. Shall we kind of confirm on number 1 player? And do you want to just run through some of the former Bayern legends' stats?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, what can we say, really? Like Lewandowski, for me, not only one of the best Bundesliga, but possibly the best striker of this generation. Some people would say Ronaldo or Messi, but they're not like classic number 9s for me, whereas this guy is 100% a classic number 9. His stats were just absolutely ridiculous. Like, just a quick look, obviously, it seems a long time ago now, but he did start with Dortmund, and actually, his first ever season after signing from Lech Poznan in Poland, he actually didn't impress. That was like his only bad season, really, in Germany. And that was the 2010-11. He only got 8 goals in 33 games. What was wrong with him back then? But that was basically, only took him 1 year. And then after that, he posted 3 consecutive 20-plus goals for Dortmund. 2 of them included title-winning seasons as well. He got 22, 24, 20. Then actually, surprisingly, he actually dropped below 20 for the only time as a Bayern Munich player in 8 seasons as a Bayern Munich player. He only dropped below 20 once. That was in his first season in 2014-15 when he got just a measly 17, which is not exactly bad, let's be honest. Then he just started, then after that, his stats just got better and better. He went to 30, 29, 22, 34. Then his best ever season was obviously that record-breaking season when he got 41 goals, which is just absolutely insane. That was the famous one when it beat Gerd Muller's by 1 goal. And then his last season, he just got a measly 35 goals in 34 games before joining Barcelona, where he's already got 2 in 2 there as well. So not exactly a bad striker, is he? Let's be honest. So for me, this is a no-brainer. Would you agree, Rory? I mean, on top of that, the number of titles he won 10 titles in 12 seasons in Germany, which is just abnormal numbers, really.
Yes, just silly numbers. Easiest part of the show, really, isn't it? Putting him in as number 1. Amazing striker, a world-class striker. Brilliant to have been able to watch him in the Bundesliga and enjoy just one of the best strikers. Accurate, efficient kind of finisher. All sorts of goals, headers, both feet. Anything that you could want. Obviously, he's got that height as well, really strong to hold the ball up. He's not even that slow either. Obviously, all the stats you can back up for the rest of the time. Just incredible. Obviously, been in like the team of the season 9 times, top goal scorer 7 times, I think, player of the season 2 times. Interestingly enough, I don't know if this stat's right. Bayern player of the season once. That to me either is poor information that I've gathered or just crazy because Bayern are so good. That who knows? I'll try and find that out and check that, but I'm fairly sure that is correct. But anyway, regardless, he's our number 1. I think it's fair to say. If you disagree, please do let us know. If you can rationale why someone should be ahead, then by all means, please do. But yeah, Robert Lewandowski slots in at number 1. So, right, just a few more minutes for us to go through, just cleaning things up then, shall we, Mark? So let's clean up 2, 3, and 4. I think I think Gomez has to stay at 4 for me, and
Yeah.
then I'll take whatever wriggle room maybe on Pizarro or El Bear. Do you want to argue your case for El Bear into second place then?
Yeah, I think for me, I think we can definitely agree that these are the top four. Yeah, I mean, as you say, Gomez was an absolute god, but he didn't do quite enough on the European stage, and his longevity maybe was. Although even then, his longevity was good actually. But like, I would just say the other three were a little bit better than him. That's all. You know, maybe his style of play was a little bit more one-dimensional than the other three. I would say, but that's not really a criticism because he was a brilliant striker, Mario Gomez. But yeah, for me, Elber, it's just what he won. Like, you don't get in Bayern Munich's all-time top 11 for being a mug. You know, I mean, this guy was brilliant. I just remember him. He was absolutely fantastic. He could do everything. He was fast. He was tricky. He had a great finish. He was kind of like, at his very best, like a slightly worse version of El Phenomenal, Ronaldo #9, I would say. You know, like I would say he was that good, the guy. He was just absolutely brilliant. And you know, he did it at a number of clubs. He went on after Bayern to do it at Lyon as well, where he had a couple of good seasons there. He had good longevity, maybe not quite as good as some of the other names on the list, but he was still a top player in Europe well into his 30s. And yeah, for me, it's just what he won, really. He was a Champions League winner with Bayern Munich. He was regularly on the top level, you know, in all the European tournaments. Yeah, Pizarro he is a legend. He's a very good player, but he never had that season where he went 20 plus, which for me, you do have to have that season, 1 or 2 seasons like that to kind of be second. So I'm going to go for Elber. But have I convinced you, or do I need to do more?
I think I am kind of leaning towards letting you have it. Pizarro, I guess, was maybe he was started to use a little bit more sparingly as time went on. More of an impact player off the bench, I seem to remember a little bit. But I guess doesn't that happen to everyone? But you know, even CR7 sitting on Man United's bench at the moment. So right, yeah, I think let's go with El Bear a second, so that we can make sure that we're not arguing this until the late hours of the night. So I think we're good then. I think we're pretty settled. So let's just go through the top 10 for everyone to finalize it all and make sure that we don't want to make any last minute adjustments. But yeah, I hope everyone's enjoyed this type of show. Let us know what you reckon to our order. Give us a shout in the comments if you want any late dramatic changes to this order whilst we're going through it for the last time. So, our very first show, Bundesliga top 10. First show has been on top 10 strikers since the year 2000. So, in 10th place, we've got Graffiti with his strike partner, Edin Dzeko, just above him in 9th place. Followed by Dortmund legend and indeed great impact at Gladbach, Marco Royce. Followed by Miroslav Klose and Ailton closing up the 10th to 6th bracket. Kevin Karangy has sneaked into the top 5. I think are we going to leave it at that, Mark? Do we think that Karangy is just going to stay there for now?
Yeah, I just think the longevity, 6 years of, 15 to 20 goals, for me, that's enough. And he didn't get that kind of top level. He didn't win the titles that some of the other guys won. But for me, the likes of Ailton, if he stayed a little bit longer, he'd be above Karangy. But I think longevity has to be there. Closer, as I say, I'm still not convinced by his Bayern Munich performances. And I remember at the time, Bayern fans weren't particularly impressed with some of his work there, and they did consider him to be a bit of a flop of a signing. So I think that's got to be held. There's not many strikers that really kind of fail at Bayern, so that's got to be held against him a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. We'll keep Karangy at 5th then. So our top 5 strikers since the year 2000. Kevin Karangy makes it into the top 5. Mario Gomez in 4th place, just missing out on a top 3 spot. And our top 3, all our strikers are amazing, but Claudio Pizarro in 3rd place, followed he follows Giovanni El Bear in 2nd place, a very good 2nd place, amazing player. And in 1st place, I think it's fair to say our king of our first show has to be Robert Lewandowski, Polish and Bayern legend of a player, rounds up the end of our very first top 10 show. So yeah, I hope everyone's enjoyed this new version of our show that we brought into you on a Thursday night. We'll do this once a month, so keep an eye out for our next show. And obviously, if there's something that you desperately want us to cover, throw them into the suggestions, the comments, put it on Twitter, and then we'll see if we can get around to it quite soon as well. Don't worry as well that tonight you've not seen a fantasy show. It's coming out first thing tomorrow morning. We've pre-recorded it already. So yeah, that'll be coming out for you. So make sure that you keep an eye out for that. And over to you, Mark, to close up tonight's show.
Yeah, definitely. As Rory said, I really hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. And if you did, then remember to check out Over the Bar FB and Over the Bar Extra Twitter feeds. Also, yeah, remember to check out our main site as well, otbfootball.net, which, we've got a continuous number of articles going up there every day. And yeah, finally, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw. Yeah, again, the comments, this is one that we really hope to get a few comments for as well, because, some people might disagree with us. There were a few controversial things in there. I think most people would agree with Lewandowski, wouldn't they? Let's be honest. But yeah, would everyone have Kevin Karangy in the top 5? I don't know, really. Well, would some people have included Erling Haaland maybe in the top 10, or maybe even Klaas-Jan Huntelaar was perhaps hard done by to miss out? So let us know what you guys think. And yeah, see you again Monday. Actually, yeah, as Rory said, tomorrow there'll be the fantasy football coming out, and then the next live show will be Monday for match day 4. So yeah, we will see you there. Auf Wiedersehen. Bye bye.